So many of us are taught that life is this giant race we have to win. But what if that's completely wrong? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical idea inspired by the wisdom of Sadhguru, that the only race actually worth running is the one inside of us, the journey to master our own inner world.
So let's just start with that big question that really defines so much of our modern lives. Is life a race? I mean, do you ever feel like you're just constantly competing, always trying to get ahead, always trying to win? It is an absolutely exhausting way to live, and honestly, it's a source of so much of our stress. But here's the thing, it might not even be true.
And Sadhguru's take on this, it's so refreshingly direct. If life really is a race, then the only logical finish line is, well, the end. And I don't know about you, but I am in no rush to get there. This one simple idea forces us to rethink absolutely everything. Maybe life isn't about winning. Maybe it's about the quality of our experience right now.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we're going to find our actual place in the universe. Then, we'll completely redefine what success really means. After that, we're going to tap into the incredible power of your own mind. And finally, we'll learn the difference between attention and focus, and why it is the ultimate skill for a richer life. All right, let's dive right into our first section, your place in the universe. This is where we learn to stop fighting against the current and actually start riding the waves of life.
So the very first step is a big one. We have to let go of this powerful illusion that we're in control of everything. We burn so much energy trying to manage outcomes, people, and situations that are, let's be honest, fundamentally out of our hands. The reality is, the universe is doing its own thing, and we're just a small part of that process.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds kind of discouraging, right? But it's actually the total opposite. It's incredibly liberating. When you finally accept that you're a small part of this vast universe, here for just a short time, all that pressure to make a big fuss just disappears. It gives you the freedom to just be and to experience your life with a sense of ease and joy.
So here's the key takeaway. Think of life like the weather. Some days are going to be sunny, others are going to be stormy. Real success isn't about somehow avoiding the storms. It's about becoming such a skilled sailor that you can navigate any kind of weather with grace. And this metaphor, it's just perfect. For most people, a tsunami is a catastrophe, right? But for a master wave surfer, it's the ride of a lifetime. See, the event itself isn't good or bad. It's our ability to handle it that shapes our experience. With the right skills, even the biggest challenges can become our greatest opportunities.
So, if life isn't a race, then how in the world do we measure success? Well, in our next section, we're going to completely redefine what it means to be successful. And I can promise you, it's probably not what you think. To really get into this idea, let's look at a pretty surprising story about Andrew Carnegie. He was one of the wealthiest people in history, and the US government was so suspicious of his success, they actually launched an investigation, totally convinced he was doing something illegal. Well, the investigation turned up nothing. Zilch. They were completely baffled, so they just asked him straight up, "What's your secret?" And his answer had nothing to do with business strategy or inside deals. It was all about this one number, 5 minutes. That was his superpower. The ability to hold his mind totally laser-focused on one single thing for 5 uninterrupted minutes. Seriously, just think about that for a second. How long can you go without a single distracting thought? It sounds so deceptively simple, but it's a level of mental discipline most of us can't even imagine. So when Carnegie challenged the senators to try it, they couldn't last more than a few seconds. Their minds were just all over the place. And Carnegie's response was brutal. He basically said, if you can't even run your own mind, you have no business running the country. And this is the key. His success wasn't about what he did out in the world. It was a direct result of his profound internal mastery. And that right there, that idea of internal mastery, leads us directly into our third section, the power of your mind. Because true intelligence isn't about what you know, it's about how you use your mind. We tend to think that being intelligent just means having a lot of information stored up. But that's not intelligence, that's just memory. True intelligence, according to this wisdom, is the ability to tap into a much deeper part of your mind, a part that goes way beyond just repeating what you've learned. In the yogic sciences, there's a word for this deeper dimension of the mind, chitta. The best way to think of it is like the source code of your consciousness. It's the raw, life-making material that literally creates your experience of life. Okay, this is where it gets really, really powerful. Because chitta is connected to the fundamental energy of creation itself. Whatever shape you give it in your mind will eventually become your reality. It's the engine that turns thought into actual experience.
Imagine for a second that your mind is like a cloud. It's totally formless, but it has infinite potential. You can shape it into a beautiful work of art, or you can let it become a raging storm. The choice, and all the power that comes with it, is entirely yours. So, the big question is, how do we actually learn to shape this powerful material? Well, that brings us to our final and most practical section, where we're going to uncover the ultimate skill for mastering your inner world: choosing attention over focus. First things first, we need to get super clear on a crucial distinction. Focus is like a flashlight. It's a tight, exclusive beam. You point it at one thing and it blocks out everything else. Attention, on the other hand, is like the sun. It's a broad, inclusive light that illuminates the entire landscape all at once.
And here's a pretty radical idea for you. What if focus is actually a sign of weakness? We only need to force ourselves to focus on something when our attention isn't sharp enough to just take in everything at once. So how do we build this powerful, keen attention? Well, it's a three-step process of basically removing our mental filters. First, we stop judging everything as good or bad, useful or useless. Then we just practice being attentive, not to anything in particular, just being aware. And finally, we just keep turning up the voltage of that awareness, making it more and more intense.
This right here is the goal. True attention is like flipping on a light switch in a dark room. The light doesn't choose to shine on the chair but not the table. It doesn't judge, it doesn't discriminate, it just illuminates everything, revealing the room exactly as it is.
And so, we'll leave you with this final question. If you let go of this whole idea that life is some kind of race, and you really embrace the true power of your own mind, what would you discover? What parts of your life would be illuminated if you stopped trying so hard to focus, and instead you simply chose to be attentive?